He is known for founding Epicureanism, a highly influential school of philosophy. He is recognized for advocating for happy and tranquil lives characterized by ataraxia and aponia. He is Epicurus, an ancient Greek philosopher and sage. In the ancient Greek city of Athens, there lived a philosopher named Epicurus. Born on the island of Samos to Athenian parents, Epicurus was influenced by the teachings of Democritus, Aristippus, Pyrrho, and the Cynics. Disillusioned by the prevailing Platonism of his time, he established his own school called the Garden, where he and his followers would gather to engage in philosophical discussions over simple meals. What set Epicurus apart was his inclusive approach, as he openly welcomed women and slaves to join his school, breaking societal norms and promoting equality. While Epicurus wrote extensively on various subjects, the majority of his works have been lost over time. Only 3 letters and 2 collections of quotes have survived, through which we gain insight into his philosophy. Epicurus believed that the purpose of philosophy was to attain a happy and tranquil life characterized by ataraxia, freedom from anxiety, and aponia, freedom from bodily pain. He taught that the root cause of human suffering was the denial of death and the misconceptions surrounding it. According to Epicurus, death is the end of both the body and the soul, and thus should not be feared. Epicurus also held that the gods existed but had no involvement in human affairs. He emphasized the importance of ethical behavior, not based on the fear of divine punishment or reward, but as a means to prevent guilt and remorse from hindering one's pursuit of tranquility. As an empiricist, Epicurus believed that knowledge could only be derived from the senses, rejecting abstract reasoning and speculation. He shared the atomic theory of Democritus, asserting that the universe is infinite and eternal, and all matter is composed of tiny, invisible particles known as atoms. However, he introduced the concept of atomic swerve, suggesting that atoms can deviate from their expected course, allowing for human free will in an otherwise deterministic universe. Despite his controversial teachings, Epicurus gained popularity during the late Roman Republic. However, his philosophy faced hostility from early Christianity, and it was not until the 17th century that his ideas resurfaced, thanks to the efforts of thinkers like Pierre Gassendi. Epicurus's influence continued to grow during and after the Enlightenment, shaping the thoughts of prominent figures such as John Locke, Thomas Jefferson, Jeremy Bentham, and Karl Marx. Today, his legacy lives on as a reminder of the importance of seeking happiness, cultivating friendships, and embracing a rational approach to life. Epicurus, the renowned philosopher of ancient Greece, was a firm believer in the power of the senses as the most reliable sources of knowledge about the world. He vehemently rejected the notion of relying solely on reason, as espoused by Plato, and scoffed at the Pyrrhonists and academic skeptics who questioned the very possibility of knowing anything about the world. For Epicurus, it was through our senses that we could gain a true understanding of reality. According to Epicurus, the purpose of knowledge was to help humans attain ataraxia, a state of tranquility and peace of mind. He emphasized that knowledge is not innate but acquired through experiences. Epicurus believed that accepting the fundamental truths perceived by our senses was crucial for our moral and spiritual well-being. In his letter to Pythicles, he wrote, "If a person fights the clear evidence of his senses, he will never be able to share in genuine tranquility." For Epicurus, our gut feelings and personal experiences held more weight in determining right from wrong than abstract ethical principles or even reason itself. Epicurus also championed naturalistic explanations over theological ones. In his quest to understand the natural world, he offered various natural explanations for phenomena such as thunder, lightning, snow, comets, rainbows, and earthquakes. Though these explanations may have been proven false over time, Epicurus's approach was revolutionary. Rather than resorting to elaborate myths and tales of gods, he sought to explain natural phenomena using natural explanations, paving the way for the development of scientific thinking. Epicurus's philosophy of epistemology, centered around the primacy of the senses, has profound implications for our daily lives. It reminds us to trust our own experiences and perceptions as valuable sources of knowledge. It encourages us to seek tranquility by aligning our actions with what our senses tell us is right and wrong. And it invites us to explore the wonders of the natural world through a lens of curiosity and rational inquiry. Epicurus, the renowned philosopher, had a unique perspective on ethics and the pursuit of pleasure. He believed that true pleasure was not simply indulging in physical desires, but rather the absence of suffering. He defined pleasure as the state of being untroubled, free from pain and suffering. Epicurus understood that much of the suffering experienced by humans stemmed from irrational fears, particularly the fear of death and divine punishment. In his letter to Menicius, Epicurus explained that people often sought wealth and power as a means to protect themselves from death. They believed that accumulating more money, prestige, or political influence would shield them from the inevitable. However, Epicurus challenged this notion by asserting that death is the end of existence. He dismissed the terrifying tales of punishment in the afterlife as mere superstitions. To him, death was nothing to be feared. Accustom thyself to believe that death is nothing to us, for good and evil imply sentience, and death is the privation of all sentience. Death, therefore, the most awful of evils, is nothing to us, seeing that, when we are, death is not come, and, when death is come, we are not, he wrote. Epicurus emphasized that true happiness and freedom from suffering could only be achieved by living wisely, soberly, and morally. He rejected the idea that unrestrained pleasure-seeking would lead to lasting happiness. Instead, he believed that a person must consider the consequences of their actions and live sensibly and justly. Acts of dishonesty or injustice would burden an individual with troubles, arising from guilt and the fear of being discovered. On the other hand, kindness and justice towards others would lead to a life free from fear and closer to the state of untroubledness. Epicurus also distinguished between two types of pleasure, moving pleasures and static pleasures. Moving pleasures are temporary, associated with the fulfillment of desires, but they are always followed by a return to suffering. In contrast, static pleasures, such as platonic friendships and engaging in philosophy, bring lasting joy and contentment. Epicurus believed that the pursuit of knowledge and the company of true friends were essential components of a happy life. Furthermore, Epicurus classified desires into three categories: natural and necessary, natural but unnecessary, and vain and empty. He advocated for a life of moderation, where one reduces desires to eliminate the unhappiness caused by unfulfilled cravings. Natural and necessary desires, like the need for food and shelter, are easily satisfied, bring pleasure when fulfilled, and have natural limits. Going beyond these limits leads to unnecessary desires, such as the craving for luxury items. Vain desires, including the pursuit of power, wealth, and fame, are to be shunned as they are difficult to satisfy and continually fuel dissatisfaction. Epicurus's philosophy on ethics and pleasure continues to offer valuable insights for our daily lives. It teaches us the importance of living sensibly, justly, and in pursuit of knowledge and meaningful connections. By understanding that true pleasure lies in the absence of suffering and by moderating our desires, we can strive for a life of contentment and untroubledness. Epicurus, the renowned philosopher of ancient Greece, delved into the depths of the universe to unravel its mysteries and provide guidance for living a fulfilling life. He believed that nothing ever arises from the non-existent, emphasizing that all events have causes, known or unknown. In his letter to Herodotus, Epicurus wrote, "Nothing ever passes away into nothingness," highlighting the eternal nature of existence. He argued that if something were to completely vanish, then everything in the world would perish, as there would be nothing into which it could dissipate. For Epicurus, the totality of things has always remained the same and will continue to do so, as there is nothing outside this totality that can intrude and effect change. He saw the universe as a constant and infinite entity, composed of tiny particles known as atoms. Epicurus and his followers observed the existence of atoms through empirical evidence, such as the gradual wearing down of objects like rings, statues, and stones. These imperceptible particles, along with void, which exists in places without atoms, are the only constituents of reality according to Epicurus. In the philosophy of Epicurus, atoms and void are infinite, leading to the belief in a boundless universe. Lucretius, a devoted follower of Epicurus, argued for the existence of infinitely many worlds within the universe. Epicurus taught that the motion of atoms is eternal, constant, and without a beginning or end. However, he introduced the concept of the atomic swerve, a deviation from their expected path as they traverse through space. This slight deviation preserves the notion of free will and ethical responsibility, while still maintaining the deterministic framework of atomism. It allows the mind to experience autonomy, avoiding an inner compulsion to act and suffer like a captive in chains. Epicurus's understanding of the fundamental indeterminism in the motion of atoms led him to assert human freedom. He believed that some things happen of necessity, others by chance, and others through our own agency. While chance plays a role in shaping events, Epicurus emphasized that human beings possess the power to act autonomously. He regarded this freedom as essential for ethical responsibility and the ability to make choices that contribute to a fulfilling life. In our daily lives, Epicurus's philosophy teaches us to recognize the interconnectedness of events and the causes behind them. It reminds us that nothing ever arises from nothingness and that everything has a reason or cause, even if it is not immediately apparent. Moreover, Epicurus's emphasis on human freedom encourages us to take responsibility for our actions and make conscious choices that align with our values and lead to personal fulfillment. In his teachings, Epicurus emphasized the importance of understanding the nature of the gods. He advised his students to believe that a god is an indestructible and blessed animal, in accordance with the general conception of God commonly held. He cautioned against ascribing anything foreign to their indestructibility or repugnant to their blessedness. For Epicurus, our knowledge of the gods is a matter of clear and distinct perception, not in the sense of physically seeing them, but rather in sensing their presence through vision sent from the remote regions of interstellar space where they actually reside. Epicurus rejected the traditional Greek view of the gods as anthropomorphic beings who walked the earth and engaged in human-like activities. Instead, he taught that the gods are morally perfect, yet detached and immobile beings. According to him, the gods reside in the remote regions of interstellar space, contemplating their own perfections. They are so perfect and removed from the world that they are incapable of listening to prayers or supplications. Epicurus emphasized that the gods are not involved in human affairs in any way, as any form of worldly involvement would tarnish their perfection. Epicurus criticized popular religion, but in a restrained and moderate manner. He believed that the gods played an important role as paragons of moral virtue, to be emulated and admired. However, he rejected the idea of divine providence, arguing that it is illogical and incompatible with the gods' indestructibility and blessedness. Later Epicureans followed similar beliefs, believing in the existence of the gods but emphatically rejecting the notion of divine providence. They criticized popular religion more strongly, with some even denouncing it as leading to wicked and ungodly deeds. The teachings of Epicurus and his followers continue to be relevant today. They challenge us to critically examine our beliefs about the nature of the gods and the role they play in our lives. By emphasizing the gods' perfection and detachment from worldly affairs, Epicurus encourages us to focus on our own moral development and seek virtue for its own sake. His philosophy reminds us that true happiness and tranquility can be found through understanding and living in accordance with the natural laws of the universe, rather than relying on external forces. Epicurus, the renowned philosopher, believed in a unique theory of justice that revolved around a social contract. According to him, justice is an agreement where individuals commit to neither harm nor be harmed, ensuring a harmonious existence in a well-ordered society. In Epicurus' view, laws and punishments play a crucial role in maintaining this contract, as they deter those who may be tempted to break it. However, the wise person, with their limited desires, has no need to engage in prohibited conduct as they understand the usefulness of justice. Epicurus asserted that laws promoting happiness are just, while those that do not serve this purpose are not. Interestingly, Epicurus discouraged active participation in politics, as he believed it led to turmoil and a pursuit of status. Instead, he advocated for a more subtle approach, urging individuals to avoid drawing attention to themselves. This principle is best captured by the phrase "leith bioses," which translates to "live in obscurity" or "get through life without attracting notice." Epicurus emphasized the importance of living without the pursuit of glory, wealth, or power, and instead finding contentment in the simple pleasures of life, such as food and the company of friends. Epicurus' philosophy of justice as a social contract and his emphasis on living in obscurity have profound implications for our daily lives. By recognizing the importance of not causing harm and seeking mutually beneficial agreements, we can contribute to a more harmonious society. Moreover, by embracing a modest and unassuming lifestyle, we can find fulfillment in the little things and prioritize genuine connections with others. Epicurus' teachings remind us that true happiness lies not in the pursuit of external validation or material possessions, but in cultivating inner peace and meaningful relationships. As we navigate the complexities of our modern world, Epicurus' philosophy serves as a guiding light, offering us insights into justice, contentment, and the pursuit of a fulfilling life. By understanding the power of a social contract based on mutual respect and the value of living in obscurity, we can lead lives that are both virtuous and satisfying.
Do you want to explore more philosophers? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.